youngster, I can remember going down to the barn and my mother had this Guernsey cow, and for whatever reason she milked it by hand. And that was my early experience with the dairy farm. And I was probably five years old at that. No way she milked it, but Dad had the milkers and Mom had that one individual that she always milked by hand. Yeah, I think it was a pet to her, and it was her special cow.
Roger's land purchase in 1991 allowed him to greatly expand his production of soybeans. Before, the Fulks grew corn, beans, hay, oats, and wheat, all of which went to feed the dairy cattle. Following the land purchase, more beans were planted and the profits increased. Today, corn and hay are the Fulks' most prominent crops. They use a lot of their yielded crop to feed nearly 70 head of dairy cattle.
When did you first start working with your father?
We followed him around ever since we could walk. We'd ride with him any place and every place. With the tractors or with the truck, we was always with him. And I can recall about 6, 7 years old, we would start doing chores. And at 7, I remember driving the tractor to bale hay with.
When the concept of no-till farming was introduced in the 1970s, the Fulk family tested the method. However, Roger mentioned they like to mix manure into the soil, something that is not possible with no-till. Recently, the Fulks purchased a no-till grain drill for planting beans, which is operated by Roger's son. Roger mentioned that yields fell with no-till, so the family switched back to plowing. Today, over the years, the Fulk family has created buffer zones between yields and streams. Also, in the last 20 years, they have put nearly 60 to 70,000 feet of tile in their fields. Roger mentioned, "If I could afford it, I'd put another 50,000 feet in the next year or two."
What was your least favorite thing to do on the farm?
Every other Saturday, my mother had chickens, and every other Saturday we had to clean the chicken house. My father and 2 brothers, we'd clean chicken houses, and that was just a chore that nobody liked to do, but it was something that needed done, and we'd do it for years and years and years.
Roger's grandfather lived up the road from where Roger lives today. Also, a few of Roger's uncles bought farms in the neighborhood. His grandfather and grandmother bought the farm Roger lives on today in the mid-1920s.
And 2 or 3 of his sons had branched out on their own and bought farms on the block right here. And so they grew up here. My roots are pretty strong in this neighborhood right here. Actually, this farm here where we live today, my grandfather had bought that with his wife in the mid-20s. And of course, they endured a lot of hardship. Being a young couple with small children, starting up as the Depression came along, and they made it. But they lived here for 50-some years until the early 70s when they retired and moved to town. And then, of course, the farm was sold, and my wife and I, we was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to buy this original 160 acres back in 1991.
Today, the Fulks transport their crops to Mansfield, where Roger explained there is a much more advanced system. As acreage and equipment increased, the Fulks adapted and grew their farm operation as a family. Shortly after Roger purchased land, one of Roger's 2 brothers also bought close to 100 acres down the road. Roger decided to be a farmer at a young age. He thought, "When I grow up, I want to be a farmer, just like my dad."